I'd like to call the April 14th, 2014 Finance Committee meeting to order. Chair would entertain a motion for the consideration of claims.
Yes. Sorry, let me get to it. I would move for the approval of claims to be paid in the amount of $773,294.89. A lawn credit card payment in the amount of $4,951.86. Annual checks written in the amount of $4,900. Checks written for payroll and liabilities for April 4th, 2014 in the amount of $214,052.44 for a total of $997,199.19.
And I will second that motion. Are there any questions on the bills?
I did have a question. Page, it's 13 of 21 on the iPad or 12 of 15 on the printed report. Wyoming Department of Revenue, sales and use tax. Why are we paying that? I don't I thought we were exempt.
Your Honor, anytime we sell an item, we have to pay sales tax, or like Rendezvous, we sell t-shirts or something.
Oh,
If we
okay.
sell recycle bags, we have to.
So it's not
our
necessarily
sales
the
tax
city's sales tax. It's
collected and we're forwarding on.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so understood. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
That was the only thing that struck me odd.
Okay. And I just had one question on page 14 of 15. Just on the fund balances. And there were two of them that were rather low. The 1% was at 88.40. And I guess my concern was whether everything was paid out of that, because at the April 1st meeting we approved 944.83. And the fund at that time was $1,124,954.32. So now it says $88.40. And then the Rendezvous fund, it says is down to $9.99. So.
Your Honor, that is strictly what has been paid out on this claims approval list, not necessarily the cash balance.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's all the questions I had. So all in favor of the approval of claims, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. And the next item is the general fund operational summary.
Yes, Your Honor. You can go through. We've provided the operational summary for all the funds. We've got general fund, water fund, sewer fund, sanitation fund. I think you even got the airport in there. We love that one. And then the general fund again. The general fund on the back is a comparison. That's 2013, and the front is 14, just to show you where we were at in 13. Probably the key indicator here is just to look at the revenues over or under expenditures. As you can see, the general fund is over by $18,597. In the water fund, it's almost $1 million. Sewers, $290,000. Sanitation, $262,000, and then the airport's in the negative. That's pretty normal. And then the general fund, just a comparison to the previous year. Obviously, these numbers change daily, so it's really hard to say in ways of comparison 2013 to 14, only the fact that we haven't received some of the revenues that we expected to receive.
Your Honor. So on the airport, so the budget versus the actual, is that your budget or is that to-date budget?
Yeah, it's our budget, Your Honor.
So that's no, what I'm saying is that number what the projected revenue, for instance, for the entire year was, or what we expected it to be right now?
Yeah, entire year.
Oh, okay. So really the projections don't seem too far off, even in the airport. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, actually doing pretty well.
Nice work. I was concerned, having seen, the issues at the airport, that we might see the revenues down from what we thought, but nice projection. Way to go.
Any other questions on the operational summary? All right, is there any other business for us today, Mr. Weaver?
Nope.
All right, meeting adjourned.
I now call the April 16, 2014 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7:02 p.m. Would Councilman Guard please lead us in pledge?
Thank you, Mayor. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Guard. Would the city clerk please conduct the roll call?
Certainly. Councilman Todd Smith.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Jonathan Fabian.
Here.
Councilwoman Mary Ellen Christensen.
Present.
Councilman Martin Kanan.
Here.
Councilman Rich Guard.
Here.
And Mayor Ron Warpness.
I am present, thank you. I declare that we have a quorum this evening. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
It's on the agenda.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. At this time, we have communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Thank you.
Look at all these trees you're killing.
Mayor, my name is Kelly Reese, and this is Tana Groom-Smith with the Prevention Management Organization of Wyoming, Fremont County. And we just wanted to present you some information. We've seen that you were discussing portions of a resolution to give cities more regulation. Authority in regulating liquor licenses. In these pamphlets, you'll not only find Wyoming state statute, you'll find other ordinances from Gillette, Laramie, some from Torrington, that all have a point system or some form of regulating liquor licenses, including a tiered administrative.
Okay.
So, I would appreciate you having the opportunity to take a look. On the very first page, you'll see authority of cities.
And within that, it states the Wyoming State Statute 12-4-101A provides in part, incorporated cities, towns, and counties within Wyoming shall license and regulate or prohibit the retail sale of alcoholic and malt beverages under this title. Nothing in this title prohibits the licensing authority of any incorporated city, town, or county from issuing less than the total number of allowable retail liquor licenses pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 12-4-201, less than the allowable bar and grill liquor licenses pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 12-4-413, or from refusing to issue any license or permit authorized by this title and. So within that, some of the cities that are already currently working to regulate the liquor licenses are utilizing that statute. Even the Lander ordinances are in that book and state that there is a section on their page 7 of their ordinances that states that they have the authority to suspend, revoke, or refuse to renew a liquor license.
We would encourage you to take a look. If you have any questions, Kelly and I have both put our cards in the front of the book. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. Also, we have invited a gentleman from the Casper Liquor Association, as well as someone from the Natrona Law Enforcement to come visit with us on May 13th. And at that time, we'd like you to join us. You each will be receiving, in fact, many people here in this room will be receiving personal invitations to that gathering.
Along with those within the county law enforcement, city officials, county officials, and law enforcement. We'll all be invited to that meeting to hear what Natrona County has done as far as their cities and the county as well.
So we hope that this helps you with what you're trying to accomplish with WHAM.
I think it will.
All right.
It looks like you ladies have done an outstanding job here of pulling together a lot of information. We really appreciate that. And it's not our desire to duplicate or, become redundant in areas that have already been, if the field's already been plowed, we don't need to replow it, I guess is a better way to say it. So thank you very much for your time and effort. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time on an agenda or on an item that is not on the agenda at this time? Okay. The chair would entertain, would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, April 1st, 2014 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, April 8th, 2014 council work session. Approval of the minutes, April 14th, 2014 finance committee meeting. Approval of finance committee recommendations for April 14th, 2014. Approval of the municipal court report for the month of March 2014. And the city clerk's office received a catering permit application from Lapeer for April 26, 2014 for an ag banquet at Fremont County Center, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Your Honor,
Yes.
it is the recommendation of the Finance Committee for the approval of claims to be paid in the amount of $773,294.89, manual checks in the amount of $4,900, Elan credit card in the amount of $4,951.86, checks written for payroll liabilities for April 4th, 2014 in the amount of $214,052.44 for a total of $385,939.95.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye. Motion carries. At this time, we have a mayor's proclamation regarding Municipal Clerks Week, May 4th through May 10th, 2014. And I will read that proclamation at this time. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Ronald O. Warpness, Mayor of the City of Riverton, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4th through May 10th, 2014, as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Courtney V. Bollender, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Riverton to be affixed this 15th day of April 2014. Okay, and thank you very much, Courtney. doing a wonderful job.
Very nice, thank you.
She keeps us honest and solvent, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. And may I say that that is with the help of many staff.
With many staff, I know
Yes.
that. I'm certainly well aware of that. I have another proclamation on Wyoming Homemakers Week, May 4th through May 10th, 2014, and I've asked Councilman Christensen if she'll read that in my stead, which I appreciate. Thank you.
Yes, Your
Mary Ellen.
Honor. Wyoming Homemakers Proclamation. Whereas the 1914 Smith-Lever Act created agricultural education through land-grant colleges, and rural women were encouraged to learn skills to enhance health, safety, and social habits in their homes, clubs were started in 1914. And whereas the Wyoming Homemakers promote the importance of strong home and family values by providing leadership, education, skill building, fellowship, and self-esteem opportunities to members, their families, and communities. The greatest force which molds character comes from a home which is morally wholesome, spiritually and mentally stimulating, and physically healthful. Whereas Wyoming Homemakers numbered 7,000 members in 23 counties in 1952, created hot lunch in schools, built family fallout shelters, and promoted highway safety. Now they are active in 14 counties with around 500 members and provide programs in giving education which include ethnic foods, social issues, and new devices such as an iPad. They pride themselves with donating quilts, baby books, paper products, neck and cancer pillows, canned goods, stamps, and pop tops, and also support the 4-H and hospice programs with money and time. Whereas education is a top priority with Wyoming Homemakers, they award scholarships to Wyoming students continuing their college education each year. Whereas Fremont County Homemakers are celebrating the 100th year of Wyoming Homemakers to honor these achievements. Now, therefore, Ronald Warpness, Mayor of Riverton, hereby proclaims the first week of May Wyoming Homemakers Week, and urge our citizens to support the efforts of Wyoming Homemakers for making a better life for all.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Okay. Okay, at this time, we will have a public hearing for daycare license renewals and 2 new daycare applications. Community Development Director's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. We have 8 renewals and 2 new applications for daycares. We have publicized the notice of public hearing, and the facilities all had their inspections that they're required to have that are done by the Community Development Department. The 8 special use permit applications for renewals were filed appropriately, and the fees were paid. We did not receive any protests on these 8 renewals, and all of the facilities did pass the inspections. There were a couple that were not included in your packet, but they have been done at this time, and they all passed also. The renewals are Amber Johnson at 227 Deer Avenue, Karen Branson at 814 West Monroe, Donna Heatley at 503 East Adams, Monica Coonley at 311 Elk Drive, Marilyn Jones at 423 East Adams, Jennifer Person at 911 East Roosevelt, Whitney Rada at 1107 West Main, and the United Methodist Co-op Preschool, Shanda Skaggs at 116 West Park. And our recommendation would be to approve those renewals. We also had 2 2 new applicants for home occupations. Those 2 people they also had the same inspections and paid their fees. They had to notify landowners within 140 feet of their proposed daycare. And at this time, there are, those 2 were Jessica Casper at 315 East Monroe in a residential B, and Kara Hancock, 607 Glacier Circle in a residential BGA. Those 2 also passed their inspections. We did receive 1 letter from a neighbor who just made, basically just made a little statement, but he did approve this daycare in that area also. So we would recommend approval of those also.
Okay, thank you. Chair would entertain a motion for the public hearing at this time.
Your Honor, I would move that we open public hearing for the renewal of daycare licenses at this time. Do we have to take the new ones separately, or, okay, so just for the renewal at this time?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye. We are in public hearing is now open at this time. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this issue?
Seeing none, Your Honor, I'd make the motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consideration of daycare license renewals. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the daycare license renewals.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the 2 new daycare licenses.
Second.
We have to do the renewals first, I think.
I'm sorry.
I believe we need to do the renewals first and then the others.
So the motion is just for the renewals. Okay, and we have a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the daycare license renewals at this time. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye, motion carries. Consideration of new daycare application for Jessica Casper. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the daycare license for Jessica Casper.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the daycare license for Jessica Casper.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. Consideration of a new daycare license application for Kara Hancock. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the daycare license for Kara Hancock.
Your Honor, I would move to approve the daycare license for Kara Hancock.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this daycare license. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 14, the Wyoming Modelers Park Association Agreement. City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. We've had quite a bit of discussion about the Modelers Park. They've been patient with staff and with all of us. Staff met with them initially in January. They currently have a sublease from the city to operate the Modelers Park on the Honor Farm property, which is north of Walmart. They're requesting an additional or new lease for one of the ponds that are located off of East Monroe to operate remote-controlled boats and water aircraft. On February 11, 2014, the council held a work session, and we discussed some of these issues at great length. The council was very supportive of the concept. However, there were a few concerns regarding the restrictions that would be placed on the property limiting public access. It was decided at the work session to try to set up a tour which we did on March 6, 2014. Members of the club, along with staff and a few of the council members, went out and visited the site, and that was very informative. Staff and then leadership of the Modelers Park Association had a meeting after this work session, and we developed a lease agreement, which is attached to this staff report. Initially, staff struggled with how to develop a recommendation for this, because typically we don't lease out portions of a property to one group. Public property is owned by everyone, and they should have equal access to these properties. The city is currently leasing out city-owned property to the gun range that has restrictions to the public. In the lease, you'll notice there'll be restrictions to the public, such as no vehicle access, swimming, camping, fishing, or alcoholic beverages. This is also the only property the city owns that has access to the Wind River. After visiting the site and realizing there are many other ponds to perform these restricted activities on, it was determined this would be beneficial to the citizens of Riverton. In addition, the area they are requesting is not the full pond, it's just a portion of that. Even with the restrictions, it still allows the public to walk to the Wind River and enter the premise. The Modelers Park Association wanted the restrictions for two reasons. First, they'll be making some improvements to the property and don't want certain activities happening on the property that could potentially damage these improvements. And second, they'll be taking over the liability insurance on this property. It is a recreational sport that cannot be taken lightly when it comes to safety. The final item I'd like to point out that is one of the council goals this year is to identify opportunities to provide recreational facilities for both youth and adult. And I think this fits that category in the fact that we need some more recreational activities for both young and old. A few highlights to point out in the lease agreement. It's very similar to our lease agreement with them over the Honor Farm property. The lease will be for 10 years. The association wants a longer lease since they will be making improvements. There is a termination clause in 13 which allows the lease to terminate after a 90-day written notice. The annual rent will be $10 per year. Any improvements require the modelers to get written permission from the city, and those improvements stay with the property. They will provide the city with a certificate of insurance and name the city as an additional insurer. They will promulgate such rules and regulations of the city in accordance to AMA rules that are attached. They will also be required to post the rules so people entering the premises will know them. Vehicle access to the park is limited to modelers or their guests for the purpose of transporting equipment to the site. All other times the gates will remain locked. No swimming, fishing, camping, or alcoholic beverages shall be allowed in the facility. Modelers shall maintain the leased property. And then we have the standard governmental immunity clause. In ways of alternatives that the council has, you have the option to not approve the agreement. You could change the agreement to allow certain activities to be allowed when the facility is not being used, such as the ones we were talking about, the prohibition of swimming, fishing, camping, and alcohol. Or there could be you could make other changes to the agreement. So staff's recommendation is to approve the agreement with the Wyoming Modelers Park Association.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. The chair would entertain a motion to regarding the Modelers Park Association.
Your Honor, I would make the motion to approve the lease agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Does anyone have any comments? I'd just like to say that the piece of ground that we're talking about down there is a pretty rough area, and it needs a little tender love and care, that's for sure. And I think given the example that you men have shown to the ground out on the Honor Farm property, this will probably we'll see a lot of improvement down there, and I'm really looking forward to that part of it as well. So I initially had some concern, as Mr. Weaver did when we first started looking at it, and then started looking around at other lease agreements that we have and saw that it probably wasn't inappropriate for us to do this, and where you're willing to invest your time and effort and energy and money to help make something that's in pretty rough condition right now into something that all of us can look forward to using in the future. Why, I certainly am supportive of this agreement as well. So thank you for your efforts. Would you, if you would, step up to the podium, Mr. Amend.
My name is Eddie Amend, and I represent the membership of the Wyoming Modelers Park Association. And I simply want to say thank you very much for the last 12 years, plus this action. It's simply an expansion of some good stuff we've already got going, and we want you to know that we very much appreciate the cooperation we've had. Present tonight are our Vice President, Scott Jackson, and our Field Marshal, Dick Adams. And I just, on behalf of the entire association, say thank you for your support and invite you to come down and see what's happening. The ice is off the pond and the action is going. So Thank you again to all of you.
Thank you, Eddie. We appreciate it. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor at this time. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. Agenda item number 15, consideration of farmers market location. City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. We've had quite a bit of discussion about the farmers market lately. It's been located on Broadway since the inception 2 years ago. The farmer market usually runs from mid-May till the beginning of October. Hours of operation have been from 5 to 7 p.m., and the road is usually closed down about 4 p.m. to allow people to set up. In the past 2 years, the city has received complaints from 2 businesses that are located near the farmers market. The complaints are related to access, lost business, how their clients were being treated, elderly not being able to walk to the business, and blocking the street too early. The city has also received a couple of positive comments about the farmers market in the downtown. On April 8, 2014, the council held a work session to talk about the farmers market and to hear from both sides regarding the location. It is clear that everyone is in favor of the farmers market. The issue is the location. Many locations were brought up in the discussion, and the pros and cons were discussed. Sherry brought up several items that they would like to have in their new location. That was bathrooms, electricity, wind protection, wheelchair access, and being visible from a main street. Staff is very supportive of the farmers market. It also helps support the council goal of identifying opportunities for community events, and we believe that meets that goal. Staff's concerned with the current location on Broadway as 2 businesses are losing business, and the fact that Broadway is the only street that runs all the way through town. With the construction of South Federal, staff and some businesses have seen an increased amount of traffic along Broadway. The City Council needs to determine the location of the farmers market, and the hope is in the motion will include a time frame to avoid having to bring this up every year. Staff has listed a few locations that were brought up in the work session for your consideration. The first is City Park. It's located off the busiest street in Riverton. This would provide a lot of exposure to the market. Half of the street would have to be blocked off, similarly to how they do it in Day in the Park, which would still allow access on one side. Residents located on Fremont could still access their property, and driveways are located off the alley. This location has electricity and bathrooms, however, not a lot of wind protection. The parking lot between Broadway and Northeast, which is right in back of Kusel's, this was the original location that Sherry Shelley had recommended. From the discussion with business owners, they didn't see any problem with this location, even the ones that were complaining. It has electricity on the site. The location is not right off the main street, and bathrooms would be an issue. And it would be the recommendation of staff that if we pick a location that doesn't have bathrooms, that we have some sort of requirement to deal with the bathroom issue. I know last year we had bathrooms on there, and it was kind of a mess. The other issue with the parking lot is that we don't have any regulations on the use of that parking lot. And so to tell people they're going to have to move off there may be an issue because there's not anything regulating that. The other location we thought of is the 422 East Main, which is the old Daisy Cleaners. It's the lot that we've had quite a bit of discussion about. This is owned by the city and is currently being used as a parking lot. The street could also be blocked off if additional room is needed. The lot could be posted that there's no parking on Wednesday from May to October. Electricity is available at that site, however, the bathroom issue would be the same issue there. We looked at the Masonic parking lot, which was brought up at the last meeting. There are a lot of issues with that lot. It's not right off the main street, there's no electricity, and there would be some accessibility issues on that lot since it's pretty rocky. Other alternatives is to leave it on Broadway, move it to another street off of Main Street, or move it to another location in the city. There's a lot of different locations around the city. City parking lot, JC Park, Kmart, CWC, there's lots of areas it could be located at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. The chair would entertain a motion regarding the farmer's market. Is there anyone that would like to step out into the deep end of that pool and see which direction we're going?
Your Honor, this
Yes.
time I'd like to table this agenda item. Wait, I apologize. I will do that at a later time.
Okay.
I guess I would make the motion to locate the farmer's market at City Park for the next 3 years.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move the farmer's market to the city park for the next 3 years, did I hear you say?
Yes.
Okay. And there is a second on that. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
this time I'd like to table this matter. There are a couple alternatives that this group is looking into. I, for one, am in favor of it on Broadway, but there are a couple other locations that Sherry and her group would like to look at, and I think it would solve a lot of problems for everyone.
Okay.
And it may be out our back door. We have an area that needs to be utilized. We have renew the Rails to Trails project in the city. We have a lovely area out here. It's green, it's trees, it's, I guess we might have to get some bathrooms. There's electricity. There's lots of room for people with walkers, wheelchairs. It's accessible to everyone. And it's just a nice area of town that needs to be revitalized also. So this time I'd like to make a motion to table that.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table this motion at this time. All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and the mayor votes aye. And the motion is tabled at this time. Okay, agenda item number 16, ordinance number 14-005, third and final reading, repealing chapters 5.16 special investigator license, 5.20 taxi cab / limousine license, and 5.24 tree trimming licenses of the Riverton City Municipal Code. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 14-005 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. This is proposed ordinance number 14-005 on third and final reading. An ordinance repealing Chapter 5.16, 5.20, and 5.24 of the Riverton Municipal Code pursuant to special investigators, private detectives, and security agents, taxi cabs and limousine services, and tree pruning, trimming, and removal businesses, respectively, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion for the approval of ordinance number 14-005 on third and final reading.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 14-005 on third reading.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I will still need to abstain from this item because I hold one of those licenses. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes, Councilman Fabian.
I'd just like to commend the city staff for seeing some areas where we might be able to roll back some regulation where it's appropriate and pointing those out to us. So thank you.
I agree. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 14-005 on third and final reading. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Rich Guard.
Yes.
Councilman Martin Canan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mary Ellen Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan Fabian.
Yes.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Smith.
Abstain.
Mayor Rob Nortness.
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 17, ordinance number 14-006, third and final reading, rezone Lot 2, Brentwood Addition. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 14-006 by title only?
This is proposed ordinance number 14-006 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Riverton, Wyoming, designating the rezone of Lot 2B, replat of lots 2A and 3A, replat of Tract A, and Lot 7, Block 1, Brentwood Addition, City of Riverton, Fremont County, Wyoming, from B Residential District and CO Commercial Office to C Residential District.
Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of ordinance number 14-006 on third and final reading.
Your Honor, I would move to approve ordinance 14-006 on third and final reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Would the clerk conduct a roll call, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Rich Guard.
Yes.
Councilman Martin Canaan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mary Ellen Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan Fabian.
Yes.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Smith.
Yes.
Mayor Ron Warpness.
Votes yes. Motion passes. Agenda item number 18, public hearing and consideration of utility rates and building rates, resolution numbers 1297, 1298, 1299, and 1300. Interim Public Service Director report and Community Development Director's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. The City of Riverton requires is required by the Riverton Municipal Code to review the rates and charges for the respective leases, uses, and services provided on an annual basis. The Municipal Code requires that the fees are adjusted in accordance to the Consumer Price Index, and the current annual CPI increase is a 1.1%. Both the water and sewer funds have sustained substantial impacts because of the YDOT Riverview Road and South Federal Monroe projects. Because of last year's proactive increase to the water fund, the impacts were not as severe as they were to the sewer fund. Therefore, the staff is recommending that the water rates and plan investment fees be increased by 1.1% to replenish the reserves in the water fund. Staff has also discovered that the bulk fill station located on West Adams has not had a fee increase in over 15 years. Currently, the charge is 25 cents per 125 gallons of water. In the past, this fee has not been addressed in the resolution. We have included it in this resolution, and staff has proposed that the increase would be 25 cents per 70 gallons of water. And after looking more closely at the Riverton Municipal Code and past resolutions, the code only addresses consumption rates. It does not address damaged meter charges. Staff has removed the damaged meter charge from the resolution. This will allow us to more readily adjust the price depending on the city cost. Currently, the city's cost for a water meter is $115, and the cost for the radio transmitter unit, the MXU, is $127.95. However, these costs do not include shipping and handling. We will charge a 10% administration charge on these items and look at the cost more frequently than once a year. This would bring the cost of the damaged meter up to $127, and then the cost of a damaged MXU to $141. The impacts to the sewer, as presented in the work session last week, were substantial, and the recent capital projects have had a negative impact on our reserves. In order to replenish reserves and to meet our operational monthly obligations, the staff is recommending the sewer rates be increased by 7%. The sanitation fund incurs capital expense items pertaining to the purchase of equipment. Therefore, staff is recommending the sanitation rate be increased by 1.1% to replenish the reserves. Thank you, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The Community Development staff reviewed the current building permit fees with the Construction Board of Appeals in March of this year. We do review these annually. The recommendation was to raise the fees. The Consumer Price Index for 2 years, we did not raise them last year. Our individual fees that we charge in the department on the average are relatively small, so the rates were not raised last year, and so they are recommending that we raise them, the combination of the 2 years CPI. which is roughly at 2.7%. The planning, or the Construction Board of Appeals voted to do that, and we would recommend the same.
Okay, thank you. The chair would entertain a motion regarding the public hearing for consideration of utility rates.
Your Honor, I would make the motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I now declare the public hearing is open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone wishing to address the council on this issue?
Seeing none, Your Honor, I'd make a motion to close public hearing.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion on the closure? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I now declare the public hearing is closed. Would the city clerk please read resolution number 1297 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Resolution number 1297, a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees and plant investment fees for the City of Riverton water system.
The chair would entertain a motion for resolution 1297.
Your Honor, I would move to approve Resolution 1297.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor I'm sorry,
Your Honor,
Councilman Guard.
I would like to point out that the overage in the sewer fund is some of the work that we've done on Riverview, and we're so far into the reserves, it'll take us 3 years to rebuild that. I think we should show restraint from here on and not pass those motions without impact to the funds that carry our utilities. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes, Councilman Christensen.
I'm just not sure what projects we were talking about, what the overages.
The pipe in the county field, I think you know exactly what we're talking about. The overage on that is exactly almost what we're missing in our reserves.
Thank you, Your Honor.
These increased fees, it's my understanding, as part of our city code, are required to increase them by the CPU or CPI, I guess it is. Is that not correct, Mr. Weaver?
That's right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, and the mayor votes aye. Motion carries. Would city clerk please read resolution number 1298 by title only?
Your Honor, this is resolution number 1298, a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees and plant investment fees for the City of Riverton wastewater system.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion for resolution 1298.
Your Honor, I would move to approve Resolution 1298 at this time.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Is this the one that we're raising 7% on? Is that correct, Ms. Mulder? I guess I've spoken to Mr. Weaver and to our clerk treasurer about this. I haven't spoken to any of the rest of the council about it, so I'm just laying out my personal feelings on this at this time. I know we've got a lot of projects that are going on, and I know we've depleted our reserves, and I don't think that this 7% is inappropriate at this time. I guess my concern is that I hate to see it put in place this way, because it probably will never be rolled back in the future, if I had to guess. And so if the need is still there next year, then let's go ahead and put it in place for another year. And if it's needed again another year, then we can do that. But the way that we're doing it, we're putting it in place for the next 10 years or whatever. And it's my understanding that it will generate about $131,000. Is that correct? with just the 1.1% increase, it would generate about 26,000 or something in that neighborhood. So it's going to be generating a little over $100,000 a year. So in additional monies by going up to the 7%. So in a 10-year period of time, that would be $1 million that the community would be paying into that fund. And I'm sure that the city can figure out a way to spend that money on something. I don't doubt that at all, and I don't question at all at this time that this increase is appropriate. But I do feel uncomfortable putting it in place with the thought that we're going to leave it there on into the future. So,
Your Honor,
yes.
wasn't it pointed out to us in our work session that it needed to be in place for at least 3 years to recapture our reserve?
Yes.
And so I think we're obligated to get back to that reserve. But I would not oppose an amendment to it that takes it off after 3 years.
Okay, so at this time, we don't have a motion yet on the floor, and I probably should be doing that before I'm having this discussion.
Now we have a motion.
We do have a motion. All right, that's correct. Okay.
Your Honor,
Yes.
is there a mechanism other than a decrease in the CPI where a rate can be rolled back? Or is it, once it's there unless the CPI goes down?
Your Honor, the code as it stands right now can always be changed, right, with 3 readings.
Yeah.
But there is a phrase in there that says that they can be increased or decreased by the CPI. So I guess in answer to that, you could certainly decrease the rates if you'd like.
But we couldn't decrease it by more than the
The CPI.
CPI.
Correct.
Okay, so if we don't make the proposal at this time to roll it back at some point, then it's in place moving forward unless we drop it back by the CPI at some, but that would take a long time. If it's 1.1, it would take 7 years to drop it back down, essentially.
Your Honor?
Yes. Councilman Guard.
Can we put a proposal or an amendment on that it only goes for, the 5% only goes for?
What's
years?
7?
Well, the CPI would stay in place, and what we're adding to the CPI is 5.9, correct?
Okay.
And so if we would make the motion to remove this CPI or leave the CPI provision in year to year, but remove the 5.9 once in 3 years, once we get our reserves back, can we do that?
I think I could propose an amendment that might work pretty well. I would propose to amend this to state a increase of 7%, which at the end of 3 years would drop back to whatever the cumulative of the 3 CPI, whatever the CPI for those 3 years would be.
I agree.
Does that work for you, Courtney, as far as an amendment is concerned?
Your Honor, in my non-legal opinion, I don't believe you can bind future councils by a decision made today.
Okay.
And since we will have the governing body possibly changed by 5 members, you could make that motion, but it probably wouldn't be able to.
All right, I'll retract that motion and say that I would make a motion to increase the rate by 7% for 1 year, and at the end of the year that the effective rate would drop back to an increase of 1.1% to be reconsidered.
Wouldn't, excuse me, Your Honor, wouldn't it need to drop to the CPI? We don't know what the CPI is at one point.
Well, we know it's 1.1 for this
We know
year.
it's 1.1 now. It could be different then. But in essence, what you're saying is that the 5.9% would drop off.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And then we could, as a council, could we not put that back in
It
place?
could be reinstated at that time.
Council still
yes.
saw a lack in the reserve. We could put it back in place for the next year and the next year if that's what it took to rebuild that 18%. It's 18.5, is it not? I would second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Would you read that back for us, Courtney? Did you follow that?
Would you like to read that back, Kristen? Okay.
Right, the amendment states to an increase of 7% to the end of the year and then reconsider the CPI at that time. Is that right?
I think it would be returned to CPI at that time.
Okay. Does everybody understand what we're doing then? Okay. We're basically leaving the 7% in this year and gaining that revenue at a time that we need it, and we may potentially need it next year, probably will, but we can make that decision at that time. Okay. All those in favor of the amended motion, the amendment to the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion, the amendment carries. Now the approval on the main motion. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye, motion carries. Okay. The next resolution, would the city clerk please read resolution number 1299 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Resolution number 1299, a resolution adjusting rates for the collection and disposal of garbage, rubbish, and debris.
The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of resolution 1299.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 1299.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, would the city clerk please read resolution number 1300 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Resolution number 1300, a resolution establishing the amount of fees for certain services and building permits within the city of Riverton, Wyoming.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion for the approval of resolution number 1300.
Your Honor, I would move for approval of resolution 1300 at this time.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mayor votes aye. Motion carries. Agenda item number 19, City of Riverton 2013 Annual Report. City Administrator's Report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Attached, you have a copy of the annual report that the City of Riverton put together. We have it on our website. We have copies here at City Hall, and we'll probably be distributing a few throughout the community, maybe to the library and doctor's offices. This is the first time that I've brought it up in a council meeting, and I really felt like I needed to do that because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into putting together this report. And sometimes those reports ended up on the bookshelf and no one ever looks at them, and so maybe we ought to spend a little time going through them. I would like to thank the city staff and their efforts. Each department was required to develop their section, and it turned out great. All the departments gave their information to Kristen, and then she put the whole document together. The document is divided into 4 major departments: administrative services, community development, police, and public services. So I'm going to try to highlight a few out of each of these departments. Obviously, there's no way of going through all of it. There's a lot of material in there, and encourage you to read it. And the administrative services is made up of finance, human resources, utility services, municipal court, and information technology. Finance is the backbone to our operations. A major responsibility of this division to oversee the proper care, custody, and control of public funds. Human resources seek to recruit and retain personnel by offering competitive compensation packages, strategic planning to train, foster, and grow employees' skill sets through coaching, leadership development, and succession planning. Information technology has grown beyond connecting PCs and printers to servers. They now extend to no less than 16 locations across the city and include a growing number of wireless access points. fiber optic circuits, radio links, and communication towers. This year's highlights were the Exchange Server Capital Project, which was a big one, and the installation of the emergency callbacks and camera in City Park. The Exchange Server moved our emails from a hosted solution to an internal one. Municipal Court made an effort to shorten the gap on uncollectible fines by the court, purchasing a service from an online company to locate defendants. Through this service, 1,420 searches were ran, which resulted in $19,916 in old fines being received through the court in 2013. Utility Services set up all customer utility accounts and service transfers. They prepare and dispense the monthly bills and respond to a large number of general inquiries pertaining to all areas of city operation. And an average of 4,847 utility bills were generated each month. They have continued to use the call campaign manager, particularly in cold months, to remind citizens that their water is scheduled to be shut off for non-payment to avoid freezing pipes. The city also released the introduction of email bills. We have a section here from the 2013 WHAM convention that the city hosted for all Wyoming cities. That was a great undertaking, and Kristen Watson was the lead on this big project. Community development is made up of planning, zoning, building permits, and inspections. In their section, they have provided a lot of pictures and some significant projects that have occurred in 2013. To name a few, the CWC Health and Science building was completed in August of 2013. The CWC food court was remodeled in August of 2013. School security projects at Jackson and Rendezvous. Wind River Job Corps, Airport Business Park, new residential construction, and several remodels of businesses. There were fewer commercial permits issued in 2013 than 2012, but the valuation of the construction was substantially higher. In single-family new construction, we actually had more than last year. In the police department, it's made up of patrols, patrol, detectives, dispatch, 911, and animal control. The organization's motto is duty, honor, and community. The police department continues to participate in many community events such as Rock the Cop, Shop with a Cop, Special Olympics. Calls for service continue to rise each year. In 2013, there were 13,829 calls for service, up by 78 from 2012. During 2013, officers placed 2,055 individuals under arrest and took 1,673 individuals into custody for transport to the detoxification center. The child welfare investigator position was created in an effort to form better lines of communication with DFS, Northern Arapaho Family Services, and Eastern Shoshone Family Services. Riverton struggles with issues related to small children living in dangerous environments. Public Services Department is made up of parks, streets and alleys, weed and pest, fleet, building maintenance, water, wastewater, sanitation, and the airport. Riverton Airport had 13,762 employments in 2013, slightly up from the last year. Building maintenance is responsible for 3 buildings: City Hall, Police Department, Airport Terminal, and the Public Services Office Building. The Fleet Division consists of over 250 pieces of equipment, from lawnmowers to road graders. Code enforcement is here to safeguard the health, safety, and property and public welfare through enforcement of technical codes, ordinances, and regulations adopted by the Riverton City Council. Number of cases have greatly increased from 143 cases last year to 331 this year. Streets and Alleys made a special effort on pothole patching this past summer. City rented a Durapatcher, a piece of equipment which uses oil and chips to fill potholes. The amount of yard waste collected was 3,756,470 pounds. The number of curbside recycles in 2013 increased to 1,647. Parks Department maintains an estimated 111 acres, including 12 parks, baseball and football fields, and trail systems. In the Sewer Collection Department, they responded to 44 sewer plugs. Approximately 6.5 miles of sewer mains were cleaned and jetted. In the water distribution, there were 8 water breaks, 3 fire hydrant repairs, replacements, and 13 curb stop repairs and replacements, and flushed all fire hydrants. The sewer treatment plant treated 634 million gallons and has 173 major pieces of equipment and over 120 pieces of support equipment. The water treatment plant had no EPA violations in 2013 and treated 412,000 million gallons of water from May to September. It's a lot of water. This is just a small portion of the annual report. It would encourage not only the council but the members of the public to just look through this document, because there's a lot of great pictures that go along with this. It was put together very nicely, and I'd like to thank staff for the great work they did.
I would certainly like to second that. When I read it, well, that was my first thought, that we need this in a slick brochure that can be out in the community so that everyone can see what your city's doing with your dollars, that we're not wasting them. Sometimes we have to go through a lot of mental gymnastics to rationalize how we got to where we are on some issues. I don't disagree with that, but it's all very transparent. We're all very human, and we're all trying to move forward in a positive fashion so that we can continue with the beautiful community that we have. Thank you very much, Mr. Weaver. I appreciate that, and especially Kristen. I hear her name mentioned quite often, and she's a very quiet person that helps all of us get a lot done in the day-to-day work. So thank you again, Kristen. At this time, I guess we will have the council committee reports and council members roundtable. Councilman Smith, would you lead off, please?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. Two things tonight. I did attend the Chamber of Commerce Board meeting last week. They have several events that are going on. They did mention their annual award banquet last month. Had a great turnout. They had 90 people that attended that. The Chamber Social this week is Thursday at Teton Therapy from 5 to 7 p.m. Their big annual Easter egg hunt is this Saturday at 1 p.m. at J.C. Park. So encourage families to go out and enjoy that the Chamber puts on. It's a great event every year. And they are having their 49th annual Ag Banquet on April 26th for people who are interested in that. And also at that meeting, Jim Davis, the Chamber Director, passed out the sheet for the Tourism Asset Dollar Funding Request for 2014. They had little over $113,000 requested, and they gave out right at about $100,000 in the tourism asset funding to 20 different groups. So if anyone's interested in a report of the different groups that received that money, then I can get a copy of that to you. The other thing I forgot when I was doing the Finance Committee report is I told Mr. Weaver to have the operational summary ready, and he got it ready, and I forgot him. So we do need to have a brief operational summary for through March 31st of this year. So,
Mr. Weaver.
Thank you. This was provided in our Finance Committee meeting yesterday, and I believe that each one of you have a copy of this. It really just goes in line with, we're trying to bring things to the council so you can see where our operational budgets are in the different funds. We have general fund, water fund, sewer fund, sanitation fund, and then the last sheet is and then airport fund. Can't ever forget the airport. And then the general fund is on the back, and that's for 2013 to give you kind of a look back period to 2014. I'm happy to report that they're all in the black, so that's a good thing. You will notice on the general fund it's lower than it was last year. A lot of it in our finances, it changes day to day. And so we're lacking some taxes coming in, mineral royalties and severance, and so this number of 18,597 could change tomorrow, and we could be in the black of 200,000. So it's just more of transparency to let the council know what's going on in each of our funds, if there's any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Larson.
Nothing.
Councilman Fabian.
A couple of things. First of all, the what do they call it? The Parks Master Planning Committee is in the process of setting a date to do walkthroughs of the parks around the city and kind of basically get a State of the Union, so to speak, on our parks so that we can move forward from there. Craig Blunenschein has been working to coordinate that. And then the other committee, the animal shelter, had a very successful pupcakes, they call it, cupcake contest this past Saturday. It was fairly well attended, and they had pictures with the Easter Bunny for both kiddos and if you wanted your animal to get a picture with the Easter Bunny, they had that available as well. And I never heard a final dollar amount, but I know it was a very successful fundraiser, so thanks to everybody who entered and purchased cupcakes and came and got their pictures taken. It was a wonderful event, and I think that's all I have. Thank you.
I just heard from Dr. Stockton this afternoon that it was well over $1,000 that they raised, so it was
Awesome.
It was a successful event. Councilman Christensen.
Thank you, Aaron. I just want to remind everyone, tomorrow will be the diversity walk that will be being taken place in the city. It will start at 4 different locations. Anyone interested in running from CWC to the city park, they will meet up there at 9 o'clock. The other location is Walmart. They will be walking, I hope. That's where I'll be. So they'll be walking. The other group will start at the ball fields that we were talking about earlier down east of the city. And then a small group, due to the construction on Federal, will be starting just over on the other side of City Park. So this is put on by the Wind River Citizens Diversity Committee or Association. Everyone is welcome. I encourage everyone to be there. It'll be just a nice time. It's a chance for everybody to walk. We all will converge at City Park at whatever time we get there. There will be speakers, there will be lunch, just a lot of good conversation amongst the citizens of Riverton and Fremont County. So I encourage everyone to show up. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Canan.
Yes, sir. I did attend the Riverton Leadership Council meeting for the Volunteers of America on April 9th. Some of the information they passed out is that they currently do have 11 social detox beds and 7 close observation beds. Those are currently pretty much full on a regular basis. And as of April 18th, they've had 13 clients go on to residential inpatient and intensive outpatient treatment. They have changed the director here at the local Center for Hope, Miss Shelley, and I'm going to mispronounce the name. I want to say, I think it's McBow or Mabo. It's spelled M-B-O-U-N, is the new director at the Center of Hope. The previous director moved back to Sheridan. They are going to be having a fundraiser, and they've tentatively scheduled that for October 23rd. Right now, they're trying to find a location to have it, but it's going to be basically a silent auction items, and it's going to be, they call it an empty bowl event. I've never heard of that before, but I guess you go, and for I believe they're looking at $10 per person or $25 for a family of 4. You go, and they're going to have a variety of soups, and for your $10 you get your bowl, and you can sample one or as many the various varieties of soup that you want. Again, they'll have silent auction items and also children's activities there, so it'll also be an event where you can bring your whole family to it. And again, they'll have more information to that as they finalize the location and a time for that. And I think the other good news is they are probably going to be your first volunteers to help your project or to beautify Riverton. They're looking to, they were looking to keep the individuals down at the Center of Hope active. They were looking for some things to do. So I kind of offered up that maybe they would like to adopt a portion of Riverton, that they would keep cleaned up and pick up the trash and do whatever they could. And I think they're probably going to get in touch with Mr. Weaver and have Mr. Weaver kind of work a deal with them as to what section of Riverton they can adopt to do that.
Okay, thank you. Sounds great. Councilman Guard.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was a Fremont School District 25 Rec Board meeting last night. We didn't have a quorum, so we called around and caught a few folks so we could pay some bills. They did get enough members to pay the bills, which were the Riverton Little League, $5,300, Raider Baseball, $3,300, the Aquatic Center at the high school for $36,000, Cats for $1,000, and the secretary was reimbursed for $325. Also today, we, Mr. Weaver and Paul Griffin and myself were on about a 2-hour-long phone call to Denver with the FFA and Aviation and in discussions of how to work the improvements at the airport to where they might be more useful. And they gave us some really good information on why and how things were funded. And we are looking at a major reconstruct of the number 10 runway to the west, and that's about a $15 million project. We've been in the queue for over 6 years, almost 9 years on that project, and we were hoping that they could delay that or move that around a little bit. It doesn't appear that we can, but with the other good news there, it appears that we might be able to make arrangements to be able to land a Brasilia on both the cross runway and the shortened runway for the majority of the time that improvements would be happening. So that was good news. There'll also be a task force meeting on Thursday at 2 in Lander. We'd like to remind everybody to come and attend. I appreciated your letter back to Mrs. Jansen in Casper.
Oh.
I thought that was interesting. I'll pay better attention as I travel through Casper myself if you need some help on that. Other than that, I don't think that there's anything that we've missed. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Two things. First is on April 25th, we're going to be closing City Hall from 2 to 5 in honor of Bill. He's going to have his celebration of life out at the Holiday Inn, and so we wanted to give all of the city staff an opportunity to go out and attend that. So that's a lot for the public too, so they realize if they show up here at 2:15 that there won't be anybody here. So the second thing is the issue of contract for services that wondering any thoughts from the council about how do you want to deal with those. I initially wanted to send out a letter to tell them our supplemental funding is going to be about $100,000 less than what it was last year, and typically we've funded our third-party requests or contract for services out of that supplemental funding, and we've had a few people request to come in front of the council to ask for additional money, and I haven't brought them forth in front of the council mainly because we don't know where we're going to be at, and it seems like if you want to have all of them come, that seems to be the best instead of individually, because then if you prove one, then you're up, and there's really no way of getting at the final amount of how much you're willing to give out for contract for services. I thought about sending just a letter just to say that we're not looking at any increases. We may even have to look at some decreases on some of them. So just wanted to hear your thoughts, see if you have any concerns about that before I move forward on that.
Your Honor?
Yes, Councilman Guard.
I've been somewhat impressed with the way the school district does their requests, and they put the information out, and people have to pick up applications and apply, and then there's one big meeting that everybody comes and has a few minutes to speak to their needs and what they hope to get, and then they gave us a week's time, and we came back and decided what we could fund and couldn't fund. I think that gives us some. We may have to do that around a work session or someplace where we can openly discuss those. It would be nice to have a discussion amongst ourselves that could we stay at those levels or do we need to reduce those costs? Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other comments?
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilman Smith.
And I also like the idea if staff can give us a recommendation of how big they think the pie can be. and then get everyone together and let them make their appeals, and then we slice up what we have to give. I think that would be a more equitable way to do that all at once.
Your Honor,
Yes. Councilman Fabian.
I agree with the idea of a work session, and I don't know if we necessarily need a formal application or not. It might actually be helpful to at least have some meaningful information on the finances of each of the organizations, but maybe during a work session let them all come and give us their thoughts on what it is that they would like to see us do, and us tell them that, you know, the pie's this big, and then we would actually have a chance for both city staff and council members to mull over all of the requests and come to what we feel is an equitable solution. So,
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Is that enough direction, you think?
Yeah.
Mr. Weaver?
Thank you.
Okay. I think I agree that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Your Honor, the only problem, it would be nice, in our opinion, the rec board was able to get together and discuss those. And would we have to wait from work session to work session, or do we have to put that in a, we only get one work session every month? And so it would be nice to be able to get together and discuss those openly as to the merits of what they do and what we could do to help. And
Yeah, Your Honor, we could have a special work session. Typically, we've had just the first, second, and third, and so we usually have a few down the road later in the month that we could, in these cases, we could schedule another work session, so it could be a week later instead
so
of having to wait.
so we just wouldn't have to wait so long, is
Yeah.
all I was hoping. Thank you.
I would just like to suggest that if there is an application process put together, that it's not too onerous. Sometime you start putting those things together and you start asking for a lot of stuff to fill the page up rather than information that you really need. And so I hope that we would be sensitive to that. Do you have anything else, Mr. Weaver?
No.
Okay. I guess the mayor's comments. In the morning, there's going to be an RECDA meeting. For those of you that have attended the RECDA in the past, it's Riverton Economic Community Development Association, and Alan Moore ran it for a number of years, was very influential in it, and then I think Alan got a little tired, and he had every reason or right to be, and now that it's starting up again, I think, and we're having a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning at the Sundowner, and so if anyone is interested in coming out, well, I encourage you to do so. It's my understanding that Missy White from Leader is going to be the presenter, and we'll be talking about the task force for the airport. On that same issue, do we have any information now on the airport cafe? I've been asked by several people in the community what's happening there.
Your Honor, we do have, we believe we're going to have 4 applications.
Oh, really? Wonderful.
We extended the deadline a little bit to get some additional information from some, but we're hoping we'll have 4. I think it's the end of this week they have to turn it in.
So we should be coming to some closure there pretty quickly. Okay, good. And then the Public Services Director, is that we have a number of applications, is my understanding?
Yes, Your Honor. I haven't checked recently. I know it was over 12, and I think that closes on the 25th of April.
And that process will be just at your direction that will be hired, or?
Well, we'll probably ask members of the city council to participate in the interview process. There'll be meet and greets. It'll be more.
Okay, that's what.
Probably won't be as elaborate as when you did my recruitment, but it'll be fairly.
Hope not.
It'll probably be fairly. There's going to be some opportunities,
sure,
more than just staff performing the interviews.
And that's what I'm wanting to hear. I hadn't heard how that process was going to work, and I recognize that this individual will be working under your direction, and you have the authority to hire. So, okay, good. And then the Force Committee, it's my understanding with the weather changing, and we're getting ready to put a lot of cement in the ground, and good stuff going on there. I attended the FCAG meeting on last Thursday, and we had a very good meeting in Du Bois. We didn't get back till about 10:30 that night. WRTA took one of their buses and drove us up there, and so we had a nice meal, and it was a good meeting. We were able to clear the air on some issues that needed to be discussed, and so it was a good meeting. And other than that, I can't think of anything else.
Your Honor,
Okay. Yes.
where do we stand on the litigation with the nations?
We've just received an email from our attorney. Perhaps you could do a better job at giving us a synopsis on that than I can, Stephen. I didn't talk to Rick personally, but it's my understanding that they're having quite a repartee going on legally, and trying to get our seat at the table.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that the Arapahoes are not enthusiastic about that. So, is that?
Yeah, that, Your Honor, that's the synopsis. They've, you have to file to actually intervene in on the lawsuit, and so all these people trying to intervene, and then everyone has to agree to allow you to intervene. And on the Arapaho side, they've been challenging, trying to get us not to be allowed to sit at the table and to intervene on that process, and that's been a little frustrating because we're all feel like the whole point of this is to get everyone talking and communicate, but yet they believe only the state should be involved in that, and no one else should be a part of that intervention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Councilman Fabian? No. Do you have anything else, Councilman Larson?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank Councilman Christensen for her comments regarding the Equality March that we're having in the morning. I was going to mention that. I have been asked by Stephen Fasthorse and Jermaine Bell, two of the organizers, if I would give a short presentation, and I can guarantee it'll be short, so please don't stay away because of that. But at any rate, if you can come out, these are some young Native American individuals that are trying to do everything they can to tamp down the angst and hurt that a lot of people feel in the community over this EPA ruling, and they're not associated with the tribes in any way or anything like that. They're just trying to be good neighbors to us, and so I'm certainly supportive of their efforts. So.
Your Honor,
Yes.
will you be running?
No, I will not be. That was the one stipulation I told them that in fact, I'm going to be marching over from Napa. Anyway, no, it should be a lot of fun, and it'll be an opportunity to visit with them. So, okay, no executive session this evening. All right, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening. Then,
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.